The first thing to say about the final descriptors of either being judging or perceiving is that judging does not mean you are judgmental. Just to let you know, because a lot of people get thrown off by that. Judging and perceiving is really about how others likely see you and experience you. It's not necessarily how you feel about yourself, but again, how others tend to probably experience you. And if you're stronger on the J side, just picture a very ordered desk, a neat checklist, a very clearly typed out itinerary. Judging folks tend to be perceived as being very ordered, organized, clear, clean, and decisive. They're folks who are seen as being reliable listers, thorough, meticulous, etc. Whereas perceivers, strong Ps, are considered more open and flexible and creative and spontaneous, work in bursts of inspiration, get actually energized by deadlines, even if they burn the midnight oil and put some other things off. Whereas judging tends not to be the procrastinator type. So you can see through the visuals of the desks, the sort of how this looks to others. And really, there are some great strengths and blind spots with each in terms of leadership. If you're seen as being a judging, a stronger than the judge side, again, this is not about being judgmental. People are going to really trust you in times of extreme danger or unpredictability, because they're going to know that you've been organized enough to plan, to bring necessary materials. So people are going to really count on you to be thorough, and they're going to trust their own safety with you, which is a huge gift and ability to earn people's trust in their own safety with you. You will take care of making sure there is food to eat, warmth to be had, shelter to be under, and that the bills will be paid on time. So, great leadership strengths there. You get results through all of this. You get things done, and you get them done thoroughly. Potential blind spots, remembering that leadership is about motivating and moving people. And that's what you want to think about is tends to be the biggest blind spot for judging types, is that they can be so focused on getting the checklist done and working out the details and getting them efficiently finished that there's not a lot of room, as much room for spontaneous creativity, inspiration, etc. And so that's the real blind spot for strong judgers, is that if you're in a leadership position where your job is to move and motivate others, don't get too locked down in the details that you forget that a huge part of your job is keeping folks inspired and motivated. So how do you compensate for that? Make sure you actually go ahead and plan in your itinerary, plan in times for spontaneous conversation, brainstorming, visionary work, plan in times for play. So that may sound paradoxical to plan for play or plan for spontaneity, but do that. Look at a great resource would be a book like Made to Stick that really explains all the subconscious things that go into really motivating somebody to pay attention, to remember your message. So pay attention to inspiration and learn about how to move people. Consider courses in public speaking so that you can learn how to inspire others with your words. In terms of perceiving, if you're a very strong P, great strengths are that you, in some ways, the opposite, right? You can really inspire people with your energized creativity, your spontaneity, your visionary aspects, your ability to drop the plans and just do what people are most inspired to do in the moment. That can really get people to be excited to be around you and to follow you and to create with you. Potential blind spots, though, are that maybe a lack of follow through. If there's so much spontaneity in changing, things don't always get done and are not completed on time. And because you're maybe open to so many ideas and possibilities, there can be a sense of indecisiveness. All of that can be for team members that you lead. They can be led to a state of exhaustion trying to keep up with you and all of the changes. So one way to really make sure you compensate for this possible blind spot is to do a lot of listing yourself. There are a number of online software possibilities for checklists. There are plenty of apps you can use on your phone to make sure you're keeping calendars, you're checking details, you're listing everything that has to get done yourself, and you're paying attention to that. That's a great way to compensate for what could be a blind spot if you're a strong P. And get a watch. Okay, so that is, in a nutshell, the profile of the Myers Briggs results that you would have gotten. You would have you have a combination of those letters, and this whole presentation is around the question of leadership and leadership development. And I just want to go back to something I started with, which is that there really is it's not a way to make people feel better to say this. It's really true. There really is no perfect leadership style. It really depends on the situation you're in and your strategies for compensation. Susan Cain, the woman who wrote the book Quiet on Innovators, excuse me, on Intuitives, had an article in the New York Times questioning whether great leaders had to be gregarious and really social and extroverted. And she pointed out that a number of our greatest leaders have been strong introverts. And there's a debate raging online whether Obama is an introvert or not. I just want to point that out, that you can really become a very effective leader given whatever personality type you have, based on your compensation strategies, as well as based very much on the situations that you lead in. So I'm going to go over a few different profiles, just a few of them, about leadership styles working best for specific leadership challenges or organizational moments. The first is what we call the participative leadership style. And imagine you have to go work with an organization where the sense of teamwork has really fallen, and people are divided and working on different motivations and really disunified. The very effective leadership style that can be brought to this would be somebody who is a strong introvert, as well as a feeling and judging, having a feeling and judging quality. So this is the type of person who is super into people, very much into making harmonious relationships. That's the big F. Is warm, and that's where the extroversion usually comes from, and can motivate people to work together. So if that's your style, if you're an ESFJ or ENFJ, you're probably going to do best in participative leadership work, where you're really bringing people together and inspiring groups to unify. Not always the best if a decision has to be forced through and eggs will be broken, if you will, that feelings will be hurt. Not always the best style for that, but great when unity is really what is needed. On the other hand, if you come into a group situation where folks have really lost their purpose, there's not a really strong sense in an organization or a small team of the mission of the work, of why you're doing what you're doing. There's sort of a lack of inspiration. If you're an ISFP or an INFP, the key there being an I, an F, and a P, you're perhaps more of an ideological leader, meaning that you're going to be very inspired by values and ideals and have a passion for those values and ideals and can communicate that. That will rally folks around a cause, which can motivate them from being uninspired to being very much inspired to follow you and your values as you drive them forward. This doesn't always work best if what you really need is just kind of cool analysis and objectivity. But if what's really needed is motivation toward a larger ideal or principle, then this could be the ideal type. So a change-oriented leader is somebody who comes to a group that has perhaps gotten comfortable, but is really maybe resting on their laurels or not challenging and being challenged and moving forward with enough gusto. So this is a type of leader who really looks outside the box and is willing to be spontaneous and look at possibility. Somebody who looks for possibilities and imagines possibilities and is able to energize others to chase after them. Notice one of the similarities in both of the descriptors here is that they both have N. That's the intuitive. That's the ability to look at patterns and look at possibilities, as well as the E to excite and motivate others. So that'd be the change-oriented leaders. The danger for this is that if you're entering an organization where there's already way too many initiatives going on and people are overwhelmed, they may not need more inspiration and more outside the box thinking. They may need just more grounded, get things done sort of leadership. The leadership style that involves intuition as well as introversion and a judging quality is known as visionary leadership. And that's when a team or organization may be in a really toxic state or may be at risk of really losing ground if they don't plan for the future. So a visionary leader is somebody who's intuitive and more introverted, but also judging. So sort of has that ability to inspire others through being very organized. Is somebody who can do big macro thinking and inspire others with visions for future possibilities that don't exist now. The danger in a visionary leadership is if there are immediate risks right now that have to be taken care of, and there's too much of a future orientation. But if a future look is what is needed and inspiration to move toward a project in the future, a visionary leadership is ideal. For teams or for organizations where there really has been a loss of confidence because of failures or lack of achievement, action-oriented leaders, these are extroverts who can be spontaneous, but who look at very sort of data-driven. These are action-oriented leaders, do great in these situations. These are people who are very interested in taking actions. They look at data, they look at what's on the ground, they set reasonable goals, and they make them happen. And by being successful at making small, reasonable goals happen, they inspire new confidence in groups that may be feeling like they're failing. Doesn't always work well when what is really needed is long-term process and careful consideration, because action-oriented leaders move quickly, but will work great for groups that need that shot in the arm. And then finally, the goal-oriented leaders. So this is if a team organization has just an unclear sense of where they're going. And the folks who are intuitive and sensing and judging can be great goal-oriented leaders in listening deeply to others, in taking stock of what is right now, and then establishing expectations and aims and goals and guiding people and inspiring people toward those goals. Doesn't always work if there are too many long-term goals in place, but if that's what an organization needs, the ISTJ or ISFJ is a great personality for that goal-oriented leadership need. And finally, for the executive leadership, this is somebody who really can come in and organize chaos. So if you have a strong extroversion as well as a thinking and judging score, you may be a very good executive leader. Somebody who can come into a chaotic organization that perhaps has a lot of autonomy and not a lot of accountability, can bring in plans and structures and procedures, and goal setting work that is monitored and there's accountability, and that can be very much this wonderful stabilizing force to a team organization. It's not best for an organization that already feels sort of buried by processes and rules and is too impersonal and not inspired enough, but a fantastic style for an organization that needs clarity. All of these profiles were put together by this website, and I gleaned much of my information from this website, so I wanted to give them credit. And I hope you found this useful and that this information will assist you in your own leadership development and embracing who you are, bringing out the best of who you are, finding compensation strategies for qualities in yourself that don't always serve you, and help you achieve your leadership goals. Thank you.